Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Restoration Talks, coming to you live from this time from Lelystad. We are very, very happy to be here once again. Last week, last Sabbath, we discussed the Psalms and we have been going through the scriptures, different topics that we have been discussing. And last time we were speaking about the Psalms, many things were said, so I'm not here by myself. I also have my sister Abigail here with me, brother Shalom,
Yes.
and you guys already know my face, sister Brittany. So
Familiar
let's have
face.
a
Familiar.
let's just have a dialogue on not even the book of Psalm because the episode is called The Power of Music.
The
So
power.
let's dive into
Music is
what
too
music
strong.
is. You said music is too strong.
The
Explain.
strongholds of music are nowadays too much.
Strongholds. That's a very big word. Why? Say why you use stronghold. Why would you
No,
say?
because no, as in when everybody here, I don't know a person that doesn't listen to, maybe one person that doesn't listen to music and,
Really?
and that's not being uplifted. Yeah, and maybe one person, but in general, everybody's listening to music just to be
Mhm.
uplifted for a good day, good mood, to concentrate, to work, for pleasure, entertainment, for
Mhm.
focus, for a relief. So everybody has their reasons why they listen to music, but also
Mhm.
everybody have their different needs and their
Yeah.
different, yeah, way how they would like to express it. So some might go more to. I've seen people find you. Why do you listen to rap? As it, it doesn't match
That
your.
doesn't matter.
It doesn't match your life. I saw that. Yeah, home as in a manager, and the person's a manager. He's in the office. He's doing his thing. White dude, and all of a sudden he comes out of the car. You hear, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I like Tupac. I'm like, dude, is this your hidden interest? So that's why
Mhm.
everybody can relate.
Yeah, and you mentioned rap, but a lot of people that love famous rappers and then the good rappers. I'm not talking about the rappers of nowadays. That's complete nonsense to me. But if you maybe let's say Tupac, Biggie, Snoop Dogg. Some people really, really understand the message that they were trying to convey to the people. So, yeah, for some people it's art. For some people they can relate to what is being said. It's a creative output. So I can imagine that people all have different tastes when it comes to the type of music that they listen to.
Yeah, yeah. And what you meant, right? It's art, and
Yeah.
that is the reason why some people also have to be careful with what kind
Mhm,
of art are you listening to. In this case, you can also
mhm,
art because it's there for also sort of inspiration,
mhm.
lifestyle. There, I'm not saying all rappers are like that. It's the same as for the those hard rock people on the stage, and I didn't.
Don't do that. Son. Don't do that, son. There's a mystery behind it.
So I'm invoking. Yeah. So yeah, funny thing. So that's more a thought of mine, but I came up with.
Yeah. Yeah, you can go different ways. And I think that's also what we saw back in the message. The minister, I was just talking about it with the sister. The minister highlighted so many different aspects of the Psalms. You can use them for encouragement, thanksgiving, but also times when it's very hard. And that's what I personally love about music, but also poetry. You can just express everything that's within you, but not in a very obvious way. So for a person that does not understand, it's like, what are you talking about? Okay, this rhymes with that. Okay, who cares? But for those that are maybe a bit more sensitive towards that, yeah, I just love people that can play with words and maybe sometimes even hide a message in it, but also people that are truly sincere. And that's what I love about the Psalms. When you read the words that the ones that David then wrote, his entire heart and his soul and emotion is within within the things that he writes. So for me, it's really touching when I read Psalms. It's very encouraging as well when I read that book. So I was wondering, how has that been for you? Do you have a favorite song, maybe, or a favorite psalm? And if you can highlight why it is your favorite, can even be for this moment now. No, no.
Well, since I've been quiet for for a bit, I will chip in right now.
Hmm.
But to answer your question, personally, I haven't read the entire book of Psalms yet,
Hmm.
so I don't have favorite a favorite verse. Sorry,
Hmm.
but so far the chapters that I've read, especially from the beginning, are quite emotional, and really pouring out onto Elohim. And even when you look at many of the gospel songs that we know, a lot of these songs has been retrieved from those scriptures.
Yeah.
So that also shows how inspiring these chapters are.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I can say to answer your question for now. But
Hmm.
so far, I don't have a favorite chapter from the Book of Psalms.
And do you might have a favorite song or a song that might have influenced you in a certain way?
Neither. I don't really have anything favorite,
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm also
because
thinking.
sometimes,
Favorite, whoa. It's
Okay, then
one
yeah,
just mention a song that has influenced or has impacted you.
um,
a song you have been listening on repeat last
Hmm.
week. So you were dancing.
Or weeping. It can be
Or
both.
well, I've been listening to different type of songs, and I don't have a particular one that
Mm.
I've been listening to on repeat for a while now. I also must admit that I don't listen to music as often as I used to,
Mm-hmm.
especially the last couple of months. It has become less, so maybe that's why it's a bit hard for me to mention a song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm not able to to answer this question for
and
now.
and and how do you, if you don't listen to music as before, was it a relief? So for some people it's a sort of shelter, or
Mm.
a moment of me moment or so. Did you replace it with that, or is the need for listening to music in general just not there?
Um, I do notice that when I listen to music that it brings me some type of comfort,
Hmm.
especially worship. My preference really to listen to worship,
Mm-hmm.
and that really soothes me. But I think the last couple of months I've been so occupied by different things that I haven't given even myself this mu- much. I haven't given myself that me time.
Yeah, yeah.
So like I've been always on the go,
Mm-hmm.
doing other things and not really making some time for that aspect to relax, to meditate. So in that sense, you can notice by my answer that it's not
Mm-hmm.
only music that has been declined, but also setting some time apart for myself.
Yeah.
And that also comes with its dangers
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you're not aware of what the consequences can be in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've also noticed that in the last couple of months, noticing how I've been so busy, occupied by different kind of things. Sometimes when something happens, it's like your 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 faith is not as solid as it
Was before.
could have been
Yeah.
or had been before, because you're disconnected some way somehow.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think constantly opening yourself to worship or praise whatever, as long as it is in line with the words of Elohim. You're allowing yourself to be put in that rest, and also in that yeah, that joyful space of Elohim, that whatsoever may happen, I have these words of comfort. But when you disconnect yourself from that for a prolonged period of time, it, it can I would say that it has its consequences.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I also hope that it might touch someone that has been in similar situations, or yeah, all of us. I think we can relate to the fact that we are busy. We don't make as much time as we should. And what I got in that period for myself was that music can really be a weapon in that case. And even if all the other things, maybe you cannot read as much as you would like to, maybe you cannot pray as much as you like to, but putting on a song, just a simple worship song, it doesn't have to be the whole gimmicks and the harmonies and whatsoever, can strengthen you. And sometimes you're not even aware of you playing the music, but just certain melodies, even instrumentals, can cause you to maybe be strengthened or encouraged or whatever you need in that moment. The message is brought to you through that music. And because music is a weapon as well, it can also be very dangerous. I think, Shalom, you said the influence thereof. And I think all of us, correct me if I'm wrong,
Hmm.
all of us have heard, yeah, that the angel of music is Satan, and he used it for evil, and that's now why people are listening to music that much, because that is how he influences people. Have you guys heard of that?
I was about to say I didn't hear you. May elaborate, elaborate. What do you mean with angel of music?
Oh, and maybe in my
Elaborate,
then
elaborate.
maybe in my assembly it was a bit.
Go deep, go deep, go deep. Because angel of music.
I don't even know how they came
Yeah,
up with that, but the story was that Lucifer was the angel of music.
and all the
And
pipes.
it is true, yeah, and instruments, and it's true, these music and instrument, that a lot of people are influenced to do bad things, or that's also where secular music and stuff come from. So even from the assemblies, were warned very early to be careful with what we allow into our ears when it comes to music and songs, because it has such an influence on your mindset, your mood. Okay, you guys have you ever listened to a sad song? It only makes you more sad.
Slow jams, those times when you got a broken heart. And then you will like,
Yeah.
life. And then you will listen to slow jams, R&B, and say, my girl, my girl.
Hey, Shalom, you still remember the song? Yeah, you still remember the slow jams. So I have seen this discussion also oftentimes on the internet, and that's whether believers should even listen to other music than gospel. So, can a believer listen to secular music? And I remember that the
What is
opinions.
gospel? What is secular? Because even some songs,
Yeah, good
gospel,
question.
if you look at the lifestyle, you're like, yeah, is it gospel? Yeah. And some words are even better, uplift,
Hmm.
community building. I have a whole thought on that. I will not rent you, but yeah. So
Keep that thought. Keep that thought.
so go on.
Yeah, yeah, keep that thought. But Abigail, what do you think? Can believers listen to secular music? Does it depend on what is being said, the words? or is it a no go?
Would say just avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the reason why you would extend your type of interest to secular type of music,
Mm-hmm.
even though the message behind it is so called good, it has good intentions. As Shalom also said, I'm not sure if that's what he meant, but also when you look at certain type of artists,
Mm-hmm.
the things that they stand behind, how they move about in their lives, and if you don't agree with that, but you sometimes still pick up their songs, be like, yeah, this is a type. This is something that I like, so I would just listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't agree with that. I I don't see. I don't know. Some people are like it. It depends on the type of message.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're not careful, it can lead to more the type of music that at first you thought, oh, this is not okay to listen to, and then you start to compromise. But then again, it also has to do with how strong you are in your faith, especially if you have just repented. I would say
Get rid of all
just
songs.
focus,
Yeah.
yeah, just focus on gospel alone and don't compromise between the two
Mm-hmm.
because one can lead to another.
Yeah.
And especially when
At
you're
first, it can be a Lauryn Hill song, and before you know, it's a Beyonce song, but you feel like she has good intentions behind the message, so it's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Before you know, it's Kendrick Lamar. They're not like us. Before you know, it's you know, so just put it all together.
uh,
Oh, Kendrick, Kendrick, Kendrick.
the youth, the youth, the youth. The youth.
Exactly. Shalom, I think you wanted to add something.
No, no, yeah. As in when the thing is when you've decided to, you know what, I just want to change my life. I just want to be
Yeah.
a new person. That's what Abby mentioned. Um, don't go not only from music. You can bring it back, but don't go back to or don't re-listen things that brought you in that state first, right? It is just when you go home and you feel like I had that inner conviction to say, I want to be I want to be a different person. It
Mm-hmm.
comes down to your actions. And if you go back to what Abby mentioned, you listen to those music again, subconsciously, it can just bring you unaware to certain behaviors, thoughts, because it has been wired. So I do agree that just have a clean sheet,
Yeah.
a total clean sheet, and just start off, in this case, music, with a new type of song, new type of, and especially with the gospel, fill, refill yourself with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that for sure.
Yeah, I hear the both of you. As for those that are just starting their journey, it might not be the best thing to do. You're probably still weak enough to fall back to that music, and it can bring you in a certain state of mind. But even with gospel,
Yeah,
be critical, I would say, because I remember when I first started my journey, I used to listen to especially the American gospel artists. So let's say Todd Delaney, a Tasha Cobbs, Phil Thompson, a lot of people, Maverick Music. And when I see what has happened with some of the people that I mentioned right now, I do not feel the urge anymore to listen to their music, and I have had this for quite a while. So even for me, when I look at gospel music, I would give the advice to be critical of the artist, him or herself, because a lot of them are trying to be entertaining, most of their words do not even relate anymore to Elohim. It's more about what I can get and what I need. I. And it has moved away from, um, yeah, true worship. Um, there have been a lot of controversies as well, and I'm always even careful with that because, yeah, uh, unfortunately, we're human beings, so we have a fallen nature. But even with the gospel, I have moved away from more the American artists towards, I think, local worship, Ghanaian worship, African praise and worship. But even with that, yeah, I think you should assess the artist. But I'm not sure. Do you guys agree, or do you guys? Yeah, if we have to assess the artist, then we cannot listen to anyone. For example, maybe, yeah. So
That's why I
what?
like the teaching of last week also, because if you would assess artists, it's difficult. You know where I'm going now. But
Mhm.
let's say uh, uh, this is not a straightforward answer. What to do, because there's no one solution for all.
Mhm.
But indeed, I do agree. Check first the words of the song. And if you see a certain lifestyle attached to it, and you don't want to associate yourself with that lifestyle, just distantiate yourself from it.
Mhm.
So that is one. To try also not to feed more entertainment purposes. I had to
Mhm.
learn to listen to worship music. It was
Mm.
really different. When I heard worship, I was like, really,
Yeah.
if you know American, African, Caribbean, Chinese worship, it was difficult for me. Hey, the Korean gospel worship.
Setting the
Second,
I am
second voice,
curious.
third voice. Yeah, well, huh? Yeah, well, huh? You hear that black, but so I had to learn to listen to such music. So when you have reduced that entertainment aspect, that's okay. Then it's easier to navigate which song would you listen to, which song yes, or which song can you resonate with. Maybe you cannot resonate with the artist and not with the song.
Mhm.
So because while you were talking, I do agree. Assess the artist,
Mhm.
but if you would go to Psalm, is David the best example? If David would live now, and you would and he would make songs and would
With
try
worship.
songs, and all of a sudden you would hear him having Bathsheba scandals and all these scandals,
Mhm.
what would your answer be?
Yeah.
Hyper retorische vraag. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's why it's always the journey you have. If your focus is I want to establish a relationship with Elohim, and I
Mhm.
want draw draw more closer and closer to him, and music can be an way
Mhm.
what helps me to reduce my fleshly desires and more quicken my spiritual aspects in this journey. Sometimes can be yeah, for some people they listen to some Islamic songs are even more holier than the gospel songs that we're listening to, as in
Mhm.
words wise, eh? Or reggae songs are more. So, but yeah, it's an individual affair.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a journey. As long as your focus is, I want to focus my relationship. I want to build up my relationship with
Mhm.
him
Yeah.
for entertaining purposes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm. I would also like to know what our listeners think. So, what is your opinion on in the gospel music that we as believers listen to? Do you have to look at the artist? Do you have to look at the words? Do you have to look at the beat? Because there are some gospel songs have a lot of beat, but if you keep on listening to that song, you go somewhere else. You are not in the worship songs. You have forgotten Elohim long time when you hear the beat. So, yes, people, let us know in the comment section how we look at that. Sister Abigail, something to add, or you
Uh,
disagree?
When it comes to assessing the gospel artists, it is hard because it's always easy to put on a persona in front of people, but you don't really know what is going on behind closed doors, obviously.
Mhm.
But I think in everything, eventually the truth will come out, and that's why with certain artists, especially the American artists, you will see them in a sort of scandal news. But what I noticed that at first when they're coming up, their songs seems more genuine and more emotional,
Mhm.
more forgiving, more reaching out to Elohim. And then when times goes by,
Mhm.
it's more driven to the entertainment aspect. So
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you notice a shift. And I think what you both have said is look at the main core of the message. Because what I've also noticed is that some gospel artists start to collaborate with the secular artists. I
Mhm.
think it was Tasha Cobbs who had a song with Nicki Minaj. And that's
Yeah.
like, when I see that, it doesn't draw my interest. I'm
Mhm.
like, why? Why would you do that? Because it's not that that song, the collaboration, is going to change Nicki Minaj. She's not going to use that song to start spreading out the gospel to her audience. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
she just
Mhm. True.
the same person that she is. So I think, yeah, really let the emphasis be on the message.
Mhm.
Um, but sometimes even I listen to the upbeat type of gospel music that has a lot of energy, like the praise type of type of music. But
Mhm.
but I use it when I'm like busy, like cleaning or working.
Mhm. Oh, don't only listen to praises. Don't only listen to
It
worship.
helps. It
But
helps
when
with the
Ja,
cleaning.
maar zo somber zijn. Een beetje praises. Je doet een beetje
no, the praise
your
is good,
cleaning.
but let me finish. But when I sit down to listen to just to listen to that song without doing any hyperactivity, when I listen to the song, I'm like, what's this song even about? Like, then you really start to notice that, I'm not really sure what this person is
Ja,
trying to
ja.
Yeah.
say, or, to what type of message to bring out. So, yeah, really pay attention to the words that
Mm.
are being said and as a message as a whole being spread out.
Yeah. Nice.
I was waiting for this moment.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Abby touched. I wanted to mention it earlier, but Abby touched it because
wow.
she's right. She's right. If you notice how song have been, let's say 1900s, even before the 1900s, before you had those spiritual songs.
Eesh.
Wait,
Hundreds, Papa.
wait in water. So those words they were or like those times with Will W. Smith, those white words doesn't matter.
Michael W. Smith. Yeah.
Michael W. Smith. Those words they were long, right?
Yeah.
You could and our aunties, those hymns, they were long. Now, literally 10 words is a song.
Yeah.
I find it from my side, it's what I notice, and this I'm not a singer or a magician or a writer, so shout out to you people. I know you two are poetry and artistic people, so please, if you have that platform, make a change in the music industry. But if you would look at how Psalm was written, for
Mhm.
example, it was not there was not something as chorus, let me put it that way, or first couplet first. It was just an outpouring of your whole story, of your whole life, your own experiences. But now what pop culture has done is that it has really simplified the message so much you would just only use 10 words to convey a message. And before it wasn't like that. It was more words. It has a larger expansion. It has a larger, more depth.
Mhm.
It's like more. It's marketing for okay, yeah, you toch, don't make it complex. And I miss that touch and that outpouring more.
Mhm.
So I do agree with what Abby mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a change in music, I would say.
Yeah.
But one other thing that really bothers me is before inspiration came from the gospel, from gospel genres, from the
Mm-hmm.
gospel artists, from the church. Many new musicians and artists, if you would look at them, they were born in the church.
Mm-hmm.
The best beat makers, the best drummers, instrumentalists, they were born in the church, or those genres, jazz, spiritual songs. Uh, let's say it always came and it started with religious songs, and now it's like people are doing their inspiration from, let's say, quote unquote secular music, drill, trap,
Yeah.
um,
True.
pop, and all these things, and then it's coming also inside our assemblies. So on call out to everybody, I believe and I know, to the musicians, to the singers, to the devoted
Mm-hmm.
spiritual
The ministers.
singers, and so please, please, I think it's about time just to create a new genre, not a new genre, but new songs, because that's also what scripture says, right? We can create
Mhm.
new songs, and not new songs, I don't mean like new words only, but also new genres, because that was
Mhm.
normal back in the days. In 1 year there can be a pop-up from literally 50 new genres in second, and in I'm done. I've done my part. Because otherwise I will continue,
You made
continue,
your
continue,
point
continue.
clear. We need to
Yeah, 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 yeah.
innovative with the music that we create, with even the gospel genre. And there was someone in the comment section. Welcome. How do you use your discernment if you select a song? I think both of the things that you both said, you can use as discernment. So listen to the words. So what is the message? Sometimes you do have to assess, hey, what is the intent of the music? Is it to uplift? Is it to cast down? Is it to draw you away to certain things? Um, and also know yourself. If you are sensitive to music, be very very mindful of the things that you listen to. What they also do nowadays is in gospel music, for example, they sample a secular song. So they use a beat or a melody that comes from a secular song. You think you like the new gospel song. No, you like the thing that they were sampling from the secular song because that is the music that you used to listen to. So I think we mentioned a few tools into using your discernment in selecting a song. I hope that helps. And yeah, to actually round it off, um, some might say there are churches or religions that say you cannot use any music or you cannot use any instruments. You shouldn't play certain stuff. You have assemblies where they don't even play music at all. Um, but I think that you would miss a very big aspect of how music was used in the scriptures. Because if you look at the scriptures, when they were building the temple, for example, when they were making their offerings, whenever they would want to invite Elohim into that place, into the midst of them, they would use music. So my question to you, my final question to you is, what do you guys think is the appropriate role of music within within the assemblies?
The appropriate rule.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm not really sure how to answer this question,
Mm-hmm.
um, because even in before you asked the question, you gave certain examples of in the scripture how we see that they
Mm-hmm.
use music in certain events. And I don't really know what the reason is. Some churches or assemblies decide not to use, for instance, instruments. I do know that there's some assemblies that do sing. So they
Mm-hmm.
use, like, they do hymns. Um, and I think as long as there is some outpouring to Elohim, whether that includes instruments or not, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that not singing at all should be restricted. I
Yeah.
don't see how that how scripture even would not allow that to happen. Why would
Yeah.
Elohim say you're not allowed to sing songs to me when there's literally a book like Psalms, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so when it comes to the instruments, I don't have the knowledge of that. I'm not sure if the minister explained it last week. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I think there should be room to sing songs unto Elohim. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'm not sure if that's an appropriate rule,
Some
but
assemblies don't do it.
Clear. Thank you.
Some assemblies don't do it because I was also in conversation with some of them. Some assemblies don't do it because yes, there were instruments, yes,
Mm-hmm.
they were singing, and all these things, but it was not done in the context of the tabernacle. When the tabernacle during the offerings in the temple itself, it was mostly done outside of the temples. So like, let's say the psalm was written was not they didn't sing the psalms during the sacrificing of the lamb. Let me put it that way. Or also when you look in the New Testament, they were also listening to teachings to it was not there was not a praise and worship service in that sense. So
Mm-hmm.
all this most of the songs and the psalms written and this were done. They were doing it as a custom, but not in the tabernacles. Maybe when there's a victory or they overcame uh, a, a kingdom, or they over or Sabbath to be done, and then they would just blow trumpet outside the gatherings, and then they would sing and have their feasts. So like there were also no feast, as in you would have eating your feast in the meal in the church, or let's say in the
Mm-hmm.
temple. No, there was only for a selected group, mostly the men, and so that's their train of thought. So yeah, that's only what I want to say. That's most of the
Mm-hmm.
reason why they're doing it. So they don't condemn it. Yes, there's
Yeah.
condemn it. Please do it, but in scriptures wasn't never done in that context
Mm-hmm.
in
Okay.
assemblies.
So.
Uh, but yeah, then again, you would also see that I don't do have too much script, but you would also see that. But there were hymns, right? As in not hymns, harps
Mm-hmm.
used. And what you would see is fine. Okay, certain what Abby said. So certain instrument they would use it, and certain not.
Mm-hmm.
But like for drum, there was geen drumstel. Destijds, it doesn't exist. Or
Mm-hmm.
keyboard, there was no such thing you could play on the keyboard. It was just the harp. So some people they even reject the evolution of instruments instead of only just playing.
Oh.
So there are two different things. Certain chords you were not allowed to play in the church. It was called the devil chord.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so it's more
oh,
the evolution aspect that's also
Mm-hmm.
rejected, because even if you would say they were not singing, let's say there were no playing of songs or instruments in, let's say, the Temple of Solomon. Yes, there was, because there were also singers. There were singers there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a whole interesting thing. I don't want to go into that rabbit hole, but
Yeah.
it's really interesting. But it goes, they some people reject the evolution of it. So if it started with, let's say, on a harp, or because there were Levites who were singers, there were Levites who were also playing instruments. Everybody had
Mm-hmm.
their own role. But then to reject the evolution, yeah, let's see.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a very interesting topic to dive further in as well. I have never heard of some of the things you mentioned before. Yeah, but also what the sister said, I think the best thing to do is stay as close as possible to the word and how you see that it's being used there. And I also believe that sometimes you cannot always put things into proper words, but a song or a melody comes out, maybe when you are in prayer. And yeah, I don't think you should limit um, the creativity and the tools in which through which Elohim can work, or through which his presence can be drawn. So
So you
yeah, that,
can also not use internet in the church. Then you can also not use it during.
yeah,
Yeah, some Bible
it's,
where was, but there was
challenging.
always Bible scriptures in the book in scrolls. So now let
Mhm.
you will not project any
Yeah,
words of the scriptures on the screen because
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so there are so many things to be considerate of when it comes to music. So I think we touched a few things of the power of music in itself. So for those at home, please do your further research into music. You can go very deep into the rabbit hole, or you can just look at the scriptures and try to apply that to your life. I think that was the main message also of the minister. The Psalms, you can classify them in many themes. Use what is beneficial to your situation and try to draw strength from that, because sometimes you do not have the words, but the scriptures always have the words that you need to uplift yourself. So this was an interesting conversation. I think I will look in and I will look into some of the things that you guys said. So really would like to thank you, Sister Abigail, for your insight and wisdom, and also Brother Shalom for your different angles. And for those that were listening at home, tomorrow 12 p.m. sharp, we will continue with the books of the scriptures. We will look at the wisdom that is hidden in the book of Proverbs. How can we apply it to our lives? The minister will dive into it a bit more. So yeah, thank you everyone for your nuggets. Thank you for your time as well. And we hope to see you next Friday and especially tomorrow, 12 p.m. sharp. So have a nice Sabbath and see you soon. Bye bye.
Hey.